So, is it really cool for you to slam a bunch of caffeine, work an overnighter, just to make it in this tough job market? Or is it a tough job market? Let's question all that today. Welcome to How to Switch to a Tech Career in Your 30s and 40s. It's the podcast where we love to get excited and down to brass tacks, talking about the real things that help you move the needle when you switch from any other career into a high-tech or IT career. And this is where we're going to discuss the real hints, tips, tricks, and the methods and the protocol that help you switch into a real tech career. So welcome. Well, one of the biggest, stereotypes of a tech worker is that they will have a lot of caffeine, coffee, energy drinks, maybe not so much tea. Maybe that's for those of us who are, 50 and up. I don't know. For sure, like Monster used to be Rockstar, and now you've got Mountain Dew Kickstart. You have Bubblers, which has I think it has a little caffeine. Celsius, I know those do. You've got Red Bull. Red Bull's classic. And you have any other drink basically that you can find at a coffee shop, and all of these, this is pretty much a stereotype. You're in tech, it doesn't even matter if you're a coder or not. You're a scrum master, whatever that is. You're probably slamming a bunch of caffeine every morning to get your work done. You're like, no, I don't code. I actually manage projects as a scrum master. I take care of Agile and all that. It doesn't matter. It's a stereotype. It's kind of like picturing, back in high school, if you played football, you probably looked a certain way, but maybe you didn't. Maybe you were the kicker. So, for all of you kickers out there and punters, we need you, especially at the end of the game, by the way. But as far as caffeine goes and the stereotype, I guess I'm skipping the all night thing. Let's come back to that. But the caffeine, make a note on that. The caffeine thing is, we get stereotypes because it tends to be true. And I want to give you a warning, as if you're trying to switch to a tech career and you're in your 30s and 40s, that slamming caffeine in your mid to late 30s and up till you're 50, whatever, it can catch up with you. And it doesn't matter how much sugar or calories you have. Beware. Take care of your body. A ton of caffeine is maybe good once in a while, but it's not a good look over time. So be very careful of your health. One of the things that gets you ahead when you're in your, late teens and 20s, especially maybe mid 20s, is your ability to just keep going no matter what and just push through. The hustle and grind, the rise and grind sort of motto. But you have to be careful to ease off of that in your 30s. So my advice for you, if you're trying to switch to a tech career and you're in your 30s and 40s and you don't want to go back to college and you want to get it done in a quick way, is instead of, when you get tired, slamming more caffeine, coffee, no matter what it is, to do it, I suggest you, either go take a walk, you take a nap, grab a nap if you can grab a power nap, never sleep more than 20 minutes. Thank you, Tim Ferriss, for that power nap idea. You don't want to go into REM sleep, take a 20-minute nap, and you will find, either your schedule changes so that you can do that, or or you just have a short stint of taking a nap a couple days in a row. My story, it includes caffeine and napping, and I'll just tell you, I don't know, maybe I should be red-faced about this, that I nap, but naps have been a solid assistant to me in my tech career. A couple times in my 30s, 40s, I've done the naps. One is when I had an early morning commute. I'm leaving at 5:15 a.m. Get to work, actually slam a power nap in the van before I report to work. And the funny part was, I got to work still before anyone else. I was the first one there, maybe the second one. Another engineer was there. But, so this takes planning. And the reason I napped is because it was a long commute. And by long, I mean over an hour. And it was that early in the morning. So it was early and it was a long commute. And by the time I got to work, I was just tired because it was early and it was a long commute. So I'd slam a power nap 20 minutes. It's kind of a secret. And I am guessing that if my manager was listening to this, he would totally be okay with that because I got the job done. I got it done pretty well. The other time of a nap, I would think some of those days I would also take a nap during lunch. Head out to the van, take a nap. Now, if you work from home, you can do that more easily, but it's okay. There's no shame in the game of taking a power nap, and that is because it is healthier for you than just pushing the caffeine, especially in your 30s and 40s. So watch it. I want to give you license and liberty to say, well, I heard about this in a podcast, so I'm going to do this. I don't want you to feel embarrassed. There's something about the stigma of sleep that is a problem here, I think, at least in the culture I live in. And maybe it's just the upbringing I had, where sleep is when you have nothing to do. But sleep for me is when I have things to do. I'll give you a second example of the nap versus caffeine. And I was still drinking coffee. I got off coffee about almost 2 years ago. I cannot tell a lie. I loved coffee, and I'm not like proud or something that I'm not doing coffee anymore. It was just an opportunity for me to try it, and I tried it, and it stuck where I could go to tea. So I do drink black tea. But back when I was still drinking coffee, I would get done with my regular job and then go and teach violin lessons at a place, at a music school. I have my own music school basically right now. But when I didn't have that, I would go and teach at this place. And before that, I had a full day and a full commute before that. This was one night per week, so it wasn't like it ruined my week. But I would go and I'd get coffee and then I'd take a 20-minute nap. And by the time I woke up, again, thanks to Tim Ferriss, I learned that maybe it takes 20 minutes for the caffeine to really hit your brain. So by the time I woke up from the nap, the caffeine was kicking in and I would have a good 2.5 hour, sometimes 3 hour violin teaching session where I would teach. It's tough to teach because you just have to be on. You can't be, unless you're in a university somewhere with tenure catching up to you, you really have to be on, especially you have, young children that you're going to teach. You get them excited. So I had to do that. So I would just suggest the takeaway from this is consider healthy habits instead of just going straight to caffeine. Other healthy habits include instead of napping, I have taken walks, and that has just about the same effect as a nap. Obviously, it's a good segue into the next section here, and that is overnights or all-nighters. How do I talk about this? When you get into tech, and you may be saying, how do I get into tech? Well, maybe consider this. Right now, you may be completely overwhelmed with how to learn things and how to schedule your days, reverse engineer your 90-day, 3-month goals, 90-day goals, 2-month goals, 1-month goals, and then your tasks for the next 2 weeks. You may be overwhelmed and not even doing that. So you're just kind of wandering around, and you might have a night where you feel like you're learning something, you're on fire. So what you'll do is you'll stay up late, really late, and then the next morning you can't get up, or I don't know what you're doing. Maybe you go to your job, or maybe you have the day off. Maybe you stay up late Friday night and all that. I would suggest to you that only in emergencies do you stay up late, super late. Now, in your 20s, I've been there. I've been in my 20s a while back. Staying up late seemed really cool. The kids are in bed. Let's see. Friends are out. Friends without kids, they're out partying, having fun in their 20s. And I would stay up late and I would try to build a website. And so, you're going to be tempted to do that still in your 30s and 40s. But obviously, your body is catching up a little bit. And maybe even if you're in great health, I think our bodies start to change a little bit. And so you may be tempted to pull not an all-nighter yet, but maybe stay up super late. I would suggest that this is got to be an emergency situation for you to stay up extremely late. I'm talking midnight is okay, I guess, 1 o'clock. If you're pushing 50, then, midnight's really late, perhaps for you. So I would suggest that instead of doing that you just schedule your next day and take out a list and write down on the list with pencil and paper the things you need to get done tonight, and just put them off till tomorrow. Be a little bit lazy with that and say that's okay. When you wake up in the morning, set an earlier wake up time, get to your task list, and knock them out. So instead of staying up super late, say, well, I could probably stay up 2 more hours tonight. Don't do that. Go to sleep 2 hours early compared to how you feel like staying up. And then in the morning, get up 2 hours earlier. See how that works for you. I would challenge you to create a good schedule of morning instead of night. See what happens to your brain when you get a good night of sleep before midnight. And while I am not a scientist or anything like that, I am just speaking from experience and experience of those around me who have tried and succeeded to get into a tech career. Let's talk quickly about all-nighters, and that is you may be tempted to pull an all-nighter to get things done, especially in your first tech job. And let me just say, it's a hard no. Don't do it. I've done it twice. Both of the managers who saw me do it, pull an all-nighter, I think I took an hour nap under my desk. One of the most embarrassing things I've ever done. Did I get the work done? Yes. Was I able to function the next day with the team? No. So there's a problem when I'm doing that, and it means that I have not planned well and not scheduled my life well. So let me push that over to your side of the table and just say, question yourself when you're considering staying up super late or pulling an all-nighter, whether or not you're in tech yet or not, whether or not you're in tech at this point, you need to sit back and really evaluate yourself and say, why is it that I'm in a situation where I need to stay up so late? And so those are my suggestions for today. As far as the tough job market, I think I'm going to save that for the next time. I may edit the title, but essentially, you may think you're in a tough job market, but right now it is 2024, April 2024. Everybody says it's tough. They're dour. They're down. There are many people complaining about the tech job market, and yet there are people getting jobs. And so this is a refining time for people to work on skills, hone the craft, get their chops up to speed. And I challenge you to do that instead of sitting back and complaining, even though you're maybe thinking you're stating facts. it is subjective to say it's a tough job market. So that's my challenge to you. Thank you for tuning in, and I will try to hit the job market more the next time. But I appreciate you listening. And if you would, check out the notes and the links in the notes to see if you can gather some more resources for yourself as you attempt to make the switch into a tech career in your 30s and 40s. I appreciate you, the listener. You took time to join this podcast and listen to the things that I've said. So I want to just say thank you. If you check the show notes, you will notice a couple links there. And one of them is to be an interviewee on this podcast. You can do it using your name. We can interview you, give you some coaching. You can also do that interview anonymously with an ID so that you won't be found out at your current job. So we want to be sensitive to you in that way, but also give you some help. So check the link for that application and for other free information. Join us next time. Thanks again for listening.